those guys just got away with murder. I mean,
Yeah,
Tony Atlas
that was just that was a creepy one that you watch, and then. And it didn't really strike me as like, wow, this is how far we're going with the Dark Side of the Ring. There's so many other things. And then they started season 2 with the Benoit story, and everybody knew that was like everybody fucking knew about that one. Then the New Jack one, which pretty much, in my opinion, was pretty much ECW days, with New Jack, and then the Brawl for All. That was an interesting twist on how they did that, but I remember watching that, and I always thought that was phony. Until I saw them start getting knocked out, and you can tell they were actually knocked out during those matches.
He got fucked pretty good, Bart Gunn, for doing that. Basically, because he didn't lose like he was quote unquote supposed to. Yeah. Even though they didn't tell him he sounded like he would have been willing to throw that fight, but because they thought he was going to lose legitimately, then they put him in there with a ringer, basically Butterbean, and almost as, fuck you, motherfucker, now you're going to get knocked the fuck out for real. And that was like, that's why Vince McMahon did it. I'm like, why the fuck, instead of trying to do something with this guy, you just felt like there's nothing I can ever do with him. I'm just going to have Butterbean kick the shit out of him, basically. And
then the weird part, the weird part about it was just the whole fucking, how everybody was so angry. Like, why are we doing this type of gimmick? Because it's just fucking hurting people. And it's like, I don't know, because there was money involved, obviously.
And because Vince Russo basically wanted to see Bradshaw get his big mouth shut. It's just when he gets to the finals, and he looks like a pretty tough guy by then anyways, even though he just got, beat by a guy who had boxing experience, basically. And, like, you did all this shit and injured a bunch of guys and cost one big star's, WWF career and Dr. Death by having him, whatever he pulled his, he tear his quad or whatever he did in that fight.
Yeah, he fucking injured his leg.
Yeah, it was just, so all that just to prove that he wasn't quite the toughest guy in there, even though he made it to the end. I'm like, you fucking idiot.
So what do you
interview are funny in there? Like, Cornette has always got some shit to say in there, and
yeah, he's always fucking angry. And I never liked him, anyways. I never liked him in wrestling. So
I seen him in that show. They did the benefit, Bobby Eaton, and he walked right past me, and I was, this guy looks like he's not all there. He just looked half crazy when he seen he had his kind of his mouth half open, and he's walking by, and I'm like, this guy does not look. He looks like you could easily say something to him, and he would just
lose
fucking
his shit.
Go crazy.
Yeah,
lose his marbles and shit. And I was like, this guy just looks nuts. He looks like he'd fucking go nuts on you, and I'm like, okay.
So what are you expecting of tonight? Do you expecting any kind of brain busters or anything that's going to like catch you off guard about tonight's show? That's going to, this final finale of this, is this going to catch you saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe this was happening"? You think they're going to? Do you think they're going to reveal anything that has not been revealed all these years?
Well, one thing I can't remember that I knew, because I did read Martha Hart's book, Broken Hearts. That was really sad. She is in a better place for sure. She said that. I read a recent interview that said this, and this might be on there too. I don't know. I'm assuming it will be. That she said they were countersuing her for breach of contract, like that you cannot sue us or whatever for whatever reason or something like that, and that was really bizarre. But she said, and she had him for it was clear negligence. Obviously, anybody that's looked over anything about this whole incident, that they were using people that didn't know what they were doing. Basically, they were people that watched other people do it before. So it was really, she had him really by the balls with the negligent lawsuit. So she was going to win, I think, regardless. So basically the lawyer said, well, you got to put a number out there so they can kind of know what to negotiate from and everything. So, I think she said at that point in time, she kind of realized, because she wanted it to go to court and, that they might accept whatever number she might throw out. She said she had to come to grips with it by saying, well, whatever, at that point she decided, whatever this money is going to be used in a good fashion to create a foundation, a charitable foundation to do, stuff for like the children's hospital in Owen's name, basically. So that was pretty cool, you know. And I remember her, and really realized the reason behind it. Her, obviously, you thought that she wanted to honor it, but that was kind of what sparked her to do that. And because otherwise there was going to be no amount of money that, she actually wanted them to go to court and this to be even bigger deal. And once I think the lawyer said something to that effect, like they're, bringing that money issue to light, that, that once that kind of kicked in, like, because this is basically, because the lawyer said to her, like, basically what this is going to come down to, what this is all about is money anyways, and not justice like she thought it was. So it became at that point apparent that she thought that they would want to settle and accept whatever figure they threw out. So I mean, that point in itself, I think is I think just the details of that stuff, and maybe the now, because I haven't really seen recent pictures or definitely not footage of her son and of Owen's son and daughter. And that's the thing that's most sad, I think, than anything is that the kids never really got to know their dad. They were so young when he died. I think that's stuff that'll kind of be probably pull at the heartstrings and stuff, because and they were high school sweethearts, so you may feel really bad, obviously, for her, reading a book, whatever. I mean, and people die, we get this, but obviously this was a horrible accident. But like the kids are really, I think that's the stuff that really gets me thinking about as kids, and because they're growing up without a dad over a ridiculous stunt that he shouldn't have been doing. It's just like, I get that Sting did this stunt all the time, but he'd come down sometimes and he'd be playing with the rig, not trying to get it off of his harness. There's been a couple times, I think, in WCW where you could see him trying to get out of it. But, you'd rather have that than have some fucking half-ass harness that could go off at any time and fucking drop the fucking guy like 80 feet in the air, like, and you have a quick release. It's just fucking, I mean.
I just remember him laying on there and when they were trying to resuscitate him. Because the show went dark, and then
so you've seen that live? Because I've not, to this day, I've not seen Over the Edge.
I never saw him fall. So what happened was he's coming in, right?
Yeah,
and they're getting ready, and then I remember, for some reason, I just remember this now. This is a fucking long time ago, so I might be just talking shit, but I do remember what you see in the newspaper articles and what you see in the internet when they're all on him. They're trying to, his arm's just laying there limp and they're trying to resuscitate him.
Yeah.
That part is all of a sudden it went dark, and then everybody ran in, and then and then this is when you think it's a gimmick, right?
Yeah.
But then shit started, like when they were trying to resuscitate him, I remember I think they cut away or something. And then when they got him out, and that's when you kind of realize that this didn't look like a gimmick.
Yeah.
This looked more like someone fucking got hurt. And then I want to say, for some reason,
they showed that much while you were watching.
Because I want to say it was on a pay-per-view. I'm thinking it was a pay-per-view.
It was a pay-per-view Over the Edge.
So,
1999.
I remember me and my brother and friends are all like, that's a fucking no way. How could he... And then they said, I think it was later in the commentator, I think it was Jim Ross and them said, we had an accident and Owen Hart fell and hit the side of the turnbuckle. I thought he hit his face on the turnbuckle. And,
they said it broke his neck, I think, on there.
And then they're checking on him. And then I think it was the next night was Monday Night Raw when they had their little, when they announced he died. And I remember just watching that, and I wasn't a big fan of Owen Hart, and because this was during the Raw era, so again, who wasn't a fan of Stone Cold and all that fucking shit? So when you saw that, the Blue Blazer to me was kind of like one of those gimmicks where I was like, okay, it's like watching the clown. What was the clown's name that always came out?
Doink the Clown.
Yeah, Doink. And so I just kind of was like, I can't believe it. Then they said he fell from the rafters doing the stunt or whatever. And then, you just kept hearing stories about what it was. And then there were stories about, someone didn't fasten his harness, or someone didn't do this, or someone didn't do that. And now I'm just reading articles about it. I'm going to call MC back. I'm just reading articles about it, and the articles about it were just like him falling and him having the him falling and him actually okay, I got you back. So so him falling and actually seeing that I didn't. Now you're reading about it right now. I'm trying to look up stuff about it. I know there was a quick release harness. They're giving scenarios that
I think it got caught in a cape or something. But here's the thing, like, okay, yeah,
they're saying his quick release harness shouldn't have been approved.
I mean, the fuck, like, I wouldn't want to be out there with.
It says he fell 78 feet, so I don't think I'd want to be up. Again. And then remember,
2 feet into his release, he's dropping.
Remember the story was too that he was pressured, and so you don't really, because you can't ask him, right? You can't ask him what happened. So that's the mystery. You can't ask Owen.
Well, that's the rumor. Caruso, I think, is still around there, and he tried to put him with flirting with Deborah story to start a feud between him and Jeff Jarrett, and the rumor was, I think it's pretty much been confirmed, I think, multiple people, is that Owen was comfortable doing that, because he was married, and to be as punishment, so to speak, they put him back in the Blue Blazer gimmick, and then they created this whole type of thing. Now, as punishment, I don't know. I mean, that could be argued, but it depends how you feel. Like, sometimes if you had a bigger storyline, and then this one's kind of turns from a serious grudge against you took my girl storyline till now this is a comedy. Who is the Blue Blazer gimmick? That could be debated depending on what it is. I mean, I enjoyed it because sometimes Owen would come out and somebody else would be the Blue Blazer. They'd look like Coco Beware as the Blue Blazer. So, I mean, clearly it was done with tongue in cheek, this type of stuff. Kind of like the anti-Stone Cold. He was kind of like drink your milk, whatever. So it was almost like a cheesy superhero they kind of turned the Blue Blazer into. So I don't get how it got to the point where we want to have him have a superhero I'm going to fly from the rafters gimmick. I don't get how that got so far to the point where it got to this point. Like, you've seen Sting and doing the rafter stuff in WCW, but never to the point where he wasn't safe, where you could drop him at a one click of a button, drops him down. Like, cause what's the payoff? He drops from 10 feet into the ring, like, and it looks like due to the camera work, he looks like he flew into the ring. Like, is that really worth risking somebody's life?
I don't think
dropping him fucking 80 feet into that position. That's just fucking stupid.
And like I said, I guess you'll find out during what they reveal. But for some reason, I remember seeing this, and then people are probably like, "You didn't see it," because it even says in here in this article that no one got to see it. But for some reason,
nobody's seen the drop.
I just remember them in the ring as a crowd of people around him, and just how fucking. I just kind of remember that. But I remember watching this on pay-per-view because we watched them all.
Yeah, you may have watched the pay-per-view, and I know I didn't because I remember I was doing an online class and my brother's using his computer. This was in, 2 years, just barely a year over the time I was in Arizona. And I remember one of my good friends back in Illinois telling me about it. And I couldn't believe it. And I went to the news, and it was all over the news that he had died. And I was like, I couldn't believe it.
So let me ask you this: how do you feel about them continuing the show?
You can't say Owen would have wanted to this. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, because how you could say what he wanted? When she describes it how she did, like, where the boards were broke and where my husband's body, and you're wrestling around the places where my husband, died. Yeah, that starts to get a little bit more, gets your blood boiling thinking about that stuff, and then plus his dead body was wheeled past, and he tried to play it off like, oh,